So we're standing at the Bourton Meadow site. We've just come out of Bourton Meadow and along a long stretch of restored canal. And I'm with Athena Beckett of the Buckingham Canal Society. And she has a number of volunteers with her. Athena, what's going on here?
How do you do? I'm Athena Beckett. I'm a trustee with the Buckingham Canal Society, and I'm the work party leader today. And we have an outside company joining us today. I think people know a lot of firms now give their staff volunteering days, 1, 2, up to 5 days. Team building days, volunteering days, and that's what's happening today. We have an outside company who's very doing a fantastic job helping us clear the canal. Now, at the moment, it's been exceedingly dry, and the canal is very low, far lower than we've ever known it. In fact, I've just spoken to a walker, a local person, who tells us that the otters who are resident here are having a wonderful time because the water in the canal is so low, the fish are that much easier to catch.
Yeah.
So very unfortunate for the fish.
So it's late August.
Yes.
Yes, we've had a dry summer, a generally dry summer. So as you mentioned, the water's low in the river, but it's also low in the canal. So we're sitting, it's about 400 metres, something like that, of restored canal. That water that's in this canal, where does that come from?
Right, basically the River Ouse is just there. There's a line of trees which is just in front of me. It comes from the River Ouse. What we're doing at the moment, we have solar panels.
Ah, yes.
And the point of the solar panels is in winter, when there's a massive amount of water in the canal, you can pump up water and keep the canal at full level.
Right.
If we have too much water in the canal, where the solar panels are is an overflow spillway, which will then do the opposite. It would take the excessive water back into the river.
Ah, right.
But unfortunately, the river being really low today doesn't work. Neither enough river for the canal or the river at the moment.
So it's a good idea, but actually at the moment we're suffering from being a long dry summer. So you mentioned this work party here. What are they doing right now, these people? Right.
What we've done, we actually turned what was a disused canal, which is completely overgrown, into what we call a kind of nature reserve. But nature does need taming. What we've done, we've trimming back the overgrown hedge, which is on part of the Ouse Valley Walk,
right,
so people, walkers, dog walkers and people like that can get along it. The other side of the canal, we got permission to re-water the canal, a grant, and then it was an environmental project, so we planted a whole series of reeds and things like that.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, the reeds have tended to grow rather well, and rather too well in certain places.
Right.
So we're having to occasionally remove some of the reeds, which are to stop the completely growing across the whole of the canal, and we're also doing a general tidying up so people can actually get along the offside.
Yes.
Because what we're doing, we're then moving the offside to a site where they can be disposed of. In some areas we are having a bonfire, but then we're using the ash from the bonfire, which goes back on the towpath. So we're recycling the whole thing. So it is an environmental project.
Yes, because it's quite interesting that the reeds you're managing here, actually on the main river, anybody who's canoed down it at this time of year, much of the river is impassable. So necessary job to keep the balance going.
Exactly.
So this was restored a few years ago. How many years ago? I'm trying to remember.
It's about 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it was lined. So originally this would just had a clay lining or something like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in most of the canal we were storing, the clay liner is still there. But in this case, they obviously used a very local clay, and it no longer held water.
Yeah.
So what we did, we actually got a company in to use a liner, which is now under the canal bed, and we actually managed to get a grant to do this, but our volunteers had to do a third of the work, clearing the work. Environmental project as well, planted all the reeds and things like that.
And so we're standing on this 400 metre stretch, but the Grand Union Canal, or Grand Junction Canal, I think it was originally known as, that's a good 10-15 miles in that direction. So how do you get from one to the other? I mean, are there any plans afoot?
The idea is hopefully to restore the whole of it. I mean, basically, I mean, a bit of the history.
Yes, please.
The Marquis of Buckingham was one of the main funders of the Grand Junction Canal, which is now called the Grand Union Canal.
Yes.
And then he decided, as you do in those days, he'd like to build his own canal to Buckingham. And it's literally what he did.
Yes.
With gangs, navvies and things like that.
Yes.
So the canal was actually built in about 9 months and officially opened in 1801 with a very, very large ceremony down here at Buckingham.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very successful canal for several years until the Bletchley to Branbury railway opened up.
Right.
The railway took the trade from the canal.
Yes.
There wasn't enough money to keep the canal going.
Yes.
So it was less and less used. The canal started getting in a really, really poor state. The town of Buckingham had a really big problem with the canal in that the then councillors decided the first section of the canal, which used to go into the centre of Buckingham, was a fantastic place to get rid of the town's sewage.
Ah, right.
Now, when I heard this story, I didn't quite believe it. Around, 1890s, people really did that, but people told me, yes, just a very short section was used for that.
Right.
So, as you can imagine, the whole canal suffered very badly.
Yes.
So, that section of Buckingham was sorted up and not used, after about 1901.
Yes.
But from about Maidstone Mill, which is much, much further down the canal continued well into the next century.
So these grand plans are to re-establish the canal, but there are some blockers on the way. There are some fundamental problems with actually getting this canal back up and running, aren't there?
Certainly are, yes.
Yeah.
And which we are working on and looking at various options to do it. The main problem is the A5. Everybody mentions the restoration of the Buckingham Canal. They come up to the A5. Well, the society does have its own plans to get around the A5, which we're happy to share with people if they're interested.
Yes, so that also includes possibly using the River Ouse, the Great Ouse, for part of that, for possibly maybe either going on the side of it or
going
actually using
it.
Yeah.
That's the plan at the moment.
So and then when it's if these plans come off and it is fully restored, then what? I mean, would you imagine boats coming up here? And
absolutely, Buckingham will then get its canal back, which is absolutely famous. Fortunately, I don't think we can ever get into the centre of Buckingham again.
No,
because at the moment there's a very large garage been built over the canal basin, which is lovely. But we can get right to the outskirts of Buckingham, Porton Meadow. Which is a lovely site to walk anyway at the moment because it is part of a nature reserve.
Right.
And the society has installed bench seats and things like that anyway to help people walk along it.
Yes.
And you can then see the history as you've got a bit further down. You have the old lock keeper's cottage.
Right, yes.
Which is the white building one can see halfway down.
Right, so we've got Buckingham behind us. We're walking along the Ouse Valley Road. We're not actually walking along, we're standing still. But if we were walking along, we can see the lock keeper's cottage right in front of us. That's what you're heading for when you're walking along the Ouse Valley Way. And then as we continue, I have to say I've done this before, so I've seen it. We walk along, or either along the bed of the canal or alongside the former canal, pretty much for a large stretch all the way to Thornton, don't we?
We do, yes.
Yeah.
When it's actually difficult at some places to follow the route a bit.
Yes.
After Thornton, then the canal is much more visible.
Yes.
And the site is, and the Canal Society is working at a site called Hyde Lane Nature Reserve.
Yes. So Hyde Lane's the next thing to head for and next thing to see on route. Okay, thank you very much.